Good afternoon and welcome to the State of North Carolina Agency Meet and Greet series. My name is Andrea Bennett and I lead a program called Ed to NC operated through the North Carolina Office of State Human Resources. The main goal of this program is to excite, motivate, and encourage college students, alumni, and early career professionals into rewarding careers in state government. Thank you all for joining us here today for this is day 5 of our series with the North Carolina Office of Commissioner of Banks. Before I hand it off to COB, I have a few announcements. At the end of this meeting, I will be sending out a link to a very short survey in a follow-up email. Please take the time and complete it and give us your feedback. Also, if you are interested in registering for another session, I will provide that link in that email as well. Besides that, if you have any questions, please use the chat during the presentation to provide any of those questions you may have, and we will get to those questions during the presentation. Without further ado, I present to you the North Carolina Office of Commissioners of Banks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. I greatly appreciate that. My name is Jenny Toller. I am the HR Director for the North Carolina Office of the Commissioner of Banks. I'm going to be doing the presentation today. I've got a few slides to share with everybody, but please feel free to ask questions as we're going along. You can do it verbally if you would like, or through the chat, whatever's easiest for you. We love questions, so happy to answer any that you may have. On the Teams meeting today with me, I have our commissioner, who is Catherine Boskin. We call her Katie. So she is with us to answer any questions that you guys may have and to also help me with this presentation. And then we also have Haley Snitker. She is one of our bank examiners, has been with us for just a little while, but she is she's my little cheerleader for the agency. So I love having her around. She loves to answer questions, especially of our university staff and potential entry-level candidates. So she brings the excitement for me, and I greatly appreciate it. So any questions that you have for new hires or trainees, she can answer those questions for you. I'm going to try and share my screen now and see if I can get this presentation to come up. Let's see. Can everybody see that? I'm seeing nods. Good. Okay, so just a little bit of history about our agency, because I don't know about you, but I had never heard of this agency or what they did here until I actually came here to work about 7 years ago. So it's very interesting to me, and I even worked for a bank many years ago and had no idea. So just a little bit of history about us. So North Carolina banks, they were first authorized by the General Assembly in 1804, and that was kind of to establish the Bank of Cape Fear. So I kind of wanted to put what that looked like back in 1804, how they were doing banking back then. And it took until 1931 before an entity similar to what we do today, but the Office of the Commissioner of Banks was basically created in 1931. We are fully funded by the entities that we regulate, so they pay assessment fees to us. We do not use any state funds here at this agency. We are completely supported by these entities. And our agency has a great reputation and is considered a leader in the financial regulation across the country. So we have some of the toughest anti-predatory lending laws in the country, which I think helps us keep that good reputation. We are also the first state that banned payday lenders. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that was kind of those payday loans that you could get and then paid extraordinary amounts of interest on those loans. So that's something we did ban in North Carolina back in 2005. So just a little bit about the history of our agency. So some of the industries that we are responsible for, so we, of course, bank supervision, that's in our title, but under that includes our trust department. We regulate trust companies in North Carolina. We do also conduct IT exams at banks and some of the other regulated entities that we go into. So that is just making sure that their information securities are in place. We don't tell them which to use or how to use them. We just want to make sure they're in place and protecting the customer. We do regulate mortgage companies and license, as well as money transmission companies. And that is starting to include cryptocurrency. So if you're familiar with Bitcoin and all of that fun stuff that's coming into our world very quickly, we do regulate those agencies that transmit money back and forth. Consumer finance, and I'll get more in detail about what these actual companies do. We regulate check cashers, the refund anticipation loans, which are when you get your taxes done and you want that refund early, we regulate those entities that give that refund early. And we also take complaints and do a lot of community outreach when it comes to financial literacy. So we do spend a lot of time doing that as well, but we do have, complaints that come in, and I'll touch base a little bit about that a little bit later as well. So kind of here is our structure and our key staff. Of course, Katie, who's on the call with us today, is our commissioner. We have, let's see, get to my notes here. So Katie joined the agency in 2013. She is the 13th commissioner with us, and she's been with us as a commissioner since July of 2021. She was previously appointed Deputy Commissioner for Legal Affairs in 2016 after serving as bank supervision attorney. So there is growth in our agency, if that shows you anything. As you'll see, also Stephanie White, who is our Chief Deputy Commissioner. She oversees our non-depository division, so pretty much everything that's not banking related, it's what she oversees. She joined our agency in 2003 as a bank examiner and has progressed through. She has served as a team supervisor, a director of bank applications and special supervision, and the director of bank supervision with the oversight of money transmission, and has since become our chief deputy. So again, progression within our agency. Next, we have Eugene St. Andrews. He joined our agency back in 2001, and he was a consumer finance examiner. He has served as a bank examiner, a team supervisor, director of bank supervision, and is now our acting deputy commissioner of depository. So he does our banking side. Next, we have Joyce Jarrett. Joyce has been with us just a short time. She joined us in February of this year to kind of help us get organized. She is our chief operating officer. And so she's responsible for the overall day-to-day operations for our agency. And she oversees our finances, our budget, HR, IT, and our reception. And then, of course, myself. I've been here with the agency. I've been here for 7 years, but I've been with state government for 15 years doing HR. So I am a one-person HR shop. So anything you need related to HR, that is my role here with the agency. I wanted to go back real quick and touch base a little bit, some more explanations about kind of what we do with each one of these. So with the bank supervision, we regulate banks, savings banks, savings and loan associations, and trust companies. We review all the banks related applications. So not all of the banking entities that are in North Carolina are regulated by us. Some of them are regulated on the federal level. So those would be like your Wells Fargo and your Bank of America. We don't regulate those. Those are done by the federal government. So our examinations, they're completed both on-site and off-site. So our examiners do travel sometimes to the entities that they're regulating and spend some time there. And they also work from home doing other parts of the exam. Banks pay an assessment fee annually to our agency. Again, that's what funds our agency, not state funds. And bank supervision has several examination teams to cover trust companies, large banks like your First Citizens, your Truist, those are our large banks, community banks, those are your smaller banks, as well as IT exams that we complete. So with our mortgage division, that regulates lenders, servicers, brokers, mortgage loan originators. So it's split between licensing and examination. We have about 3 teams there altogether. Licensing is handled through a system called the NMLS, which is the Nationwide Multi-State Licensing System. So we use that a lot in that division. All of our licenses are renewed annually through the NMLS. And those come to our licensing staff. Examinations are done for compliance and are split between our servicing and our origination teams. And again, these examinations are conducted on-site and off-site. With our mortgage companies, they are all over the United States. So our staff could be traveling to Texas one week, California another. We do regulate a lot of mortgage companies across the United States, where banking is just mostly contained here in this state. Money transmission, you are familiar with this. If you don't think you are, you are. These are kind of our Facebook Pay, Wells Fargo, things are Western Union, things like that. We regulate the companies that assist customers to send or receive money within the United States or abroad. So this means wire transfers, money orders, value cards, things like that. Again, this program uses the NMLS system. We conduct these exams on-site and off-site. These are also all over the United States. A lot of these are in California, Texas, New York, like that. And our money transmission is also starting to do a lot of regulation with the cryptocurrency. So that's your Bitcoin and other facilitators of that new way to do banking that we're all going to have to probably eventually learn. And next we have our consumer finance division. So they regulate small loan companies that make direct consumer loans of 15,000 or less. So those are your small strip mall lenders that you may see. So licensing is handled, we have an internal system created by our IT developers that we maintain licensings there for them. They do not pay a renewal fee to us, but they pay an annual assessment, again, to fund our agency. And these exams are, of course, on-site and off-site. Most of these are in North Carolina, if not all, as well as the check cashers. We regulate persons or other entities that provide check cashing services for a fee, service charge, or other considerations. We license those in our internal system as well. ROWS went over that a little bit, the refund anticipation loans with your tax returns. Then, of course, the complaints and the outreach.
Jenny, if I can jump in here for just a second, if you'll go back to that slide. I wanted to say something about why we do, why we examine these companies and these types of companies. Our office is responsible for ensuring that the banks under our supervision are here for the long haul. So when any of you guys put your deposit into the bank doesn't sit on that in the vault. They don't put that in the vault. They lend that money out. And that's one way that our economy grows. But our examiners focus on making sure that when it's time for you to come and get your deposit, to spend your deposit or get it back or whatever you need to do, that the bank is still there and accessible to you so that you can get that money back. Similar thing in mortgage supervision. We regulate mortgages in North Carolina because there's a lot of mortgage is usually going to be the single greatest purchase of a person's life. And there's a lot of rules that go into the fees that can be charged, what needs to be told to the consumer before they buy the house and before they take on that amount of debt. Similar to maybe some disclosures that students you all might have received with your student loans, if you have any of those. And then for money transmission, we ensure that the companies that are engaged in taking money from person A at point A, that when they promise to deliver that money to person B at point B, that they actually successfully do that. And so as a government agency, our job is to ensure that those companies are able to ensure that future delivery, because there can be some amount of time that goes by between when someone puts money into a transmitter and then when they expect it to come back out on the other end. And then finally, for some of these other industries at the bottom here, a lot of our regulation around these industries is to ensure consumer fairness. We care about the folks in our society with the most hardship. They are the ones that are most likely to use a consumer finance lender, a check casher, or a refund anticipation lender. They're also the most likely ones to benefit from our outreach. And so we want to make sure that the people using these kind of services are treated fairly and with dignity. We want to make sure that the lenders involved in those arrangements are following all the rules. And so that's why we do what we do. It involves a lot of financial analysis that Haley can talk about if you have questions. And it involves a lot of looking at companies' financial statements, making sure that they have correctly identified the risks that the market poses to them being able to fulfill their future obligations. So Jenny, sorry for the interruption.
No, I appreciate it. I don't do this work. I just kind of facilitate some of it. So just a little bit. So as well as our agency, the State Banking Commission kind of falls under the umbrella with us. This is a commission that directs and reviews the activities of our office and functions in an advisory role to our office. They do meet every other month here in our office. So we do have a hearing room that is open to the public. If you ever want to come and visit and spend some time at one of those, you're more than welcome to. Our commission is made up of 15 members, which includes our state treasurer, Dale Falwell. The commission is a mix of public members and members from the industry, and they are appointed by the governor and all subject to state ethics laws. I spelled that wrong. So the commission reviews all bank-related applications, any appeals regarding a decision made by the commissioner, and that can be a denial of a license or to approve our agency budget. So that's kind of a little bit of what the State Banking Commission does. Katie, anything you want to add to that? No. So quickly, just kind of some other agencies that we work with. So the first one is the North Carolina Governor's Office. Of course, the governor appoints our commissioner. The governor's office sends us off office complaints from consumers that can cover a wide variety of topics. So they do forward those complaints to our office. And so if the governor has questions related to the industry that we regulate, they can call upon us to provide an explanation or assistance. So we do handle that every once in a while. We work closely with the North Carolina General Assembly. We spend a lot of time up there when they're in session. They confirm the commissioner and their appointment, and it must be confirmed by both the House and Senate. The General Assembly, they draft legislation that may impact our agency. So every bill that may impact our agency is tracked by our office. They contact our office when legislators get complaints from both consumers and the industry. They also contact us if they need technical expertise, such as an explanation on a regulated entity, or need someone from our office to testify in a house or agency or needing agency assistance. We also work with the Secretary of State. So we work with them pretty closely if anyone is trying to do business in North Carolina and wants to use the word trust or bank in the name of their business. We work a lot pretty closely with them to make sure they're not operating as a trust company or a bank unless they need to be. So we do work closely with them for that. Then we have our Conference of State Bank Supervisors. This is a national trade association and consists of the state financial regulators. So this is all the states and their regulators use the Conference of State Banks as kind of where we can collaborate. They ensure that the interest of the regulators is protected by both the federal and state level, and they lobby on behalf of state regulators in Washington for us. And a lot of our employees serve on boards with the Conference of State Bank Supervisors. Next, we have the Housing Finance Authority. We do referrals for consumers who may need assistance relating to housing options and foreclosure preventions. And they will refer consumers to us to file complaints against regulated entities that we have. We work closely with the DOJ, Department of Justice. We have a designated attorney who works with us through DOJ, and that attorney handles all the litigation for our office with assistance from our legal department. And DOJ has a consumer protection division, and the two agencies, we participate in the referral of complaints as well. Next is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We do joint related mortgage examinations with them. So these work with our mortgage companies. They also refer consumers for complaint assistance. Then we have the FDIC, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and the FRB. All banks are insured by the FDIC, and we do joint examinations with these entities as well. And we work with them when new banks want to open and submitting bank applications. And lastly, the SBI, we do work with them. Sometimes if we have an investigation that includes them, we will work closely with them. So there's a lot of agencies that we work very closely with. So I just wanted to touch base on a few of the entry-level positions that we offer on a pretty regular basis, because we like to bring entry-level people in and train them up to be wonderful examiners. All of our examiners, they can live anywhere in the state of North Carolina. It's an advantage for our agency. We are a remote first agency, so your duty station is your home. Our examiners work a compressed schedule, which is Monday through Thursday. Those are 10-hour days. A lot of the examiner positions require travel, depending on which division you're with. It can be about 20 to 30%, or it can be up to about 85%. We didn't travel during COVID, during the pandemic. We have just kind of gotten back into that. So we're trying to figure out how to do that, but we are getting back out into the entities and doing that regulation in their offices. So a few of the positions. The first one is our bank examiner trainee. And that's kind of where Haley is right this moment, about to progress to our community bank team, but she's been on our training team for a little while. Haley, do you want to talk a little bit about how long you've been with us and what that process looks like?
I would love to. So I actually just had my 4-year anniversary, and now it is not normally that long that you're on the training team. I will point that out. COVID delayed some of my classes that you have to take with the FDIC. So that's the only reason I'm still a trainee. It's not really that long. It's a great program. You get walked through how to examine a bank from start to finish. I have a degree in finance, but I also have a background in accounting and biology. I know you don't need biology. I guarantee you do not need that. I guess if y'all have any questions, like specifics, I can answer it, but it's a great job. I love it. No 2 days are the same. You don't examine the same area back to back usually. There's 6 or 7 areas that you can look at. It's fun to meet new management all the time. Usually exams are 3 to 5 weeks, kind of depending on how large the institution is. So you can be at a bank for a couple weeks, you can not be at the bank. It's really no 2 days are the same. It's not boring at all. I see somebody is typing, which is good because I had nothing prepared for this part.
We like questions, that's for sure.
Yes, I love questions. It's easier this way.
Haley, can you talk about what equipment we give you to do the job?
Oh, yeah. So they supply a laptop. We get a MiFi or a Wi-Fi pack. So you don't have to have your own internet. You don't have to have your own laptop. We get like office supplies, extra monitors, printers, scanners, that kind of stuff. We get mileage for driving to banks. We also get per diem. If we're staying over a certain amount of time or overnight, you get meal per diems, you get a hotel or lodging, expense reimbursement. I do think the majority are telework now. There's not very many people who are required to be in the office at this time, to answer your question. I know my job is entirely telework at this point.
I was just scrolling through the questions to see if there's anything else.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else to add other than it is nice to never work on a Friday. I would never give up my 3-day weekends at this point. That is a bonus.
If I can just add just a comment with the current climate and just the general, I mean, if I can say post-COVID, I feel like I think we can comfortably say that now, right? If we can say post-COVID and just the overall, you know, climate of folks, equally wanting a more remote or telework or flexible schedule, hearing this is very welcoming to the population that one that at the NC pools, but even just across the state overall. And so definitely, I can say so far, I know we're not, done with this presentation. I've been taking my notes, and so far it's been very interesting. I'm just like, wow, I did not know. It's like, I did not know about COB does all these amazing things, and that from my understanding that most of all the employees are for the most part remote, if I can humbly say that, where I think one of the few agencies, if I can say respectfully, someone please correct me from our state agencies on the call, one of the few agencies within the state of North Carolina that can say they are almost remote. So for those, folks who are seeking positions within the state of North Carolina who are looking for remote positions and are not necessarily within the Triangle area, this is potentially an agency that could be the one for you. So definitely, could be a possibility. So I just want to plug that in because, like I said, I've been sitting here just trying to contain myself and not completely geek out over here on camera and not, explode over here and be completely embarrassed. But thank you so much so far. I know we're not completely over yet, but I just want to say that. Thank you.
I know, I appreciate it. I think that was all I had.
We definitely value our flexibility, Andrea. And I will say, I'm the mother of 3 small children. They're growing every day, and that flexibility is key to being able to make sure they get to where they need to be and those things. I currently come to the office roughly 3 days a week and work in my home office on the ends of that week on Mondays and Fridays. A lot of our staff are coming in 2 days at this point into the Raleigh office to the extent that they need to be here. But people in Haley's position, for example, don't have to come to Raleigh more than once a year, really. I think, Haley, would you agree? And so we do. Go ahead, Haley.
I was going to say, at the beginning, there's more time in person when you're first learning things. It's a little easier to do it in person and have that open communication with the training team supervisor. But once you get to a point where you're self-sufficient on an exam, then yes, I would agree that there's little reason to go into the office except to shred things. Right. Which I think we all have our annual shred trip.
Yes, definitely. So I was just, some of the other positions that we have, of course, is our IT examiners. Now, those positions do not require you to have an IT background or an IT degree. We want you to understand some of the terms, but we really don't want anybody that has that background, because this is, you're going in and interviewing management and talking about the IT programs that they may use in the entities, but it's not necessarily doing testing and things like that. So if you see those positions posted, know that you don't have to have an IT exam specifically. We have our money transmitter examiners. I'm actually fixing to post one or two of those coming up pretty quickly. We also have our consumer finance examiners. Those are entry level. It's a good place for somebody freshly out of college to start with our consumer finance exam division and move up through other departments. Kind of gives you a feel of our agency, and you know, gives you a chance to move on. If you don't necessarily want to work in banking, there's the opportunity to move over to mortgage, or of course money transmission, or another area. We do have a licensing department where there's not examiners necessarily there. Some sort of a background in mortgage, an understanding of mortgage is good for that non-depository licensing department. And then, of course, our mortgage examiners, we occasionally post positions for those as well. And that is all that I have. Katie or Haley, did you want to add anything that I have missed? And I will scroll through the questions real quick and see if there's any I can answer.
I don't really have much to add, but I will say having a knowledge of our agency and what we do isn't necessarily required. So I was lucky in that I worked part-time at a bank my entire college career, and then afterwards they offered me a job as a loan officer. So I had some experience, and I had gone through my own exam prior to becoming an examiner. But my counterpart, or my other half on the training program, she had no idea how any of it worked. She was one of those people who thought that money was actually like set aside specific like bundles of money in a vault with her name on it. And that's how she thought banking worked. So it doesn't really require that much knowledge of how any of it works. It can all be taught. It is a great job if anyone is interested. I will say that.
Perfect. For the sake of the recording, Jenny, do you mind reading the questions out loud and the answers for the sake of for the recording?
Sure, yes, definitely. So let's go back to some of these. One question, where are we located? Our office is in downtown Raleigh, but of course we are a remote first agency, so everybody's duty station is their home. But if you want to come in the office, we can find you a little spot and stick you there if you want to be here. Convenient, we have our own parking lot, so we don't have to fight for parking or anything like that, like more other state agencies do. Other question, do you have to have certain degrees to get hired? Not necessarily. We're looking for some accounting, business, that kind of thing. If you've taken some courses in accounting, make sure you include that with your application, but that's what we're looking for specifically. Let's see, part-time or full-time?
Jenny,
yes.
to add on to that, we do produce written reports, and so we do look for written expression, the ability to accurately convey information in writing, and consistently do that.
Yes. Haley can probably touch base on that too, because I was going to say that too. We do give a writing sample test or to everyone that we interview, so we want to make sure everyone can, you know, write complete sentences, have content that everyone can understand, but we are very up on writing. So that is something, if you like to write, this is the place for you. Let's see. So I'm a college student, but looking for advancement within the state. Is that an option for myself already working within the state to advance? Yes, you can always move around in state government. I like to encourage that. That's how you learn. I moved around in state government. This is the third state agency I've been with, and I learn something new every time I move around. Don't plan on going anywhere from here, but you can move around, and I encourage it because it kind of broadens your understanding of state government, and you can apply for any jobs that you see out there, whether you're a state employee or not. I know it has been stated that the day-to-day can vary, but can you provide an example of how one day can go so we can get a general idea? Haley, that's for you.
I was just going to say I'll answer that one. So it's not necessarily like a day-to-day schedule. So for example, the current exam that I'm on, I'm looking at the liquidity component. So they all kind of start with the same general. You look at the historical exam, and then you review any communications that have happened. You look at their UBPR stuff, so their financials, their balance sheet, income statement. You kind of glance over it, and then you go into a deep dive analysis of what's happened on their balance sheet. Have they grown? Have they compressed? Have they changed their risk profile? Have they started doing riskier things, less risky things? Have board of directors members changed? Have the executives changed? There's kind of like a little bit of a checklist that you go through for each component. So there's capital, earnings, liquidity, assets, which are the investments and loans. Management has its own component. The most fun one for me is sensitivity to market risk, and that's like capital markets. That's projections on interest rate fluctuations and how it affects the balance sheet. So there's a lot that you do, and there's kind of a breakdown of how you analyze things. So you kind of follow the same pattern, but it's hard to say an exact day-to-day schedule when liquidity at the bank that I'm at will take me 4 days at most. But some of our other institutions, it'll take 2 to 3 weeks to do that alone. So it kind of varies that way. But you always have ample time. Plus you have to put in the time to write it out. And we do technical writing. I will point that out. I do love to read, and I love a good fiction novel, but that is not how we write. we have very technical writing. We have very specific terminology that you learn to write, and it is a skill that you really have to develop. So it sounds kind of scary saying it all out loud, but it's really not. It's easy to pick up if you enjoy a good puzzle and challenge.
And Andrea asked about internship opportunities. It is something that has been on my radar, and we want to do definitely. Our training director is retiring, so I'm hoping with the new person that we're transitioning into that position, I can work closely with her as well as our bank training supervisor. It's something that he has had interest in as well. So it is something, we don't have anything right this moment, but it is something that we are looking to start in the near future. Now, we have had some interns in our legal department. We have had some attorney interns, but as for examiner interns, it's not something that we've had. But I think it would be a great opportunity to introduce universities and college graduates to what we do here, because it is very interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all the questions that I see. More people are typing those. Send us questions. We love them.
I tell you, ladies, by far, and I probably should have, probably should not say this on recording. By far, this has been the most fascinating one that I have attended by far. And maybe because I just possibly, the ignorance of not knowing all the details of COB, but by far, I've just been sitting here like, wow, I did not know this. Wow. I mean, forgive me for all my facial expressions that you've been seeing across the camera, but literally, I just been very just intrigued by all the details of everything you all been saying. And Haley, you just reminded me of the technical writing class I took in college. And when you mentioned about the reports that you write currently with your current role, and just thinking about the difference between creative writing and technical writing. So for those who are currently enrolled in a college setting, think about taking one of those types of courses if you're interested in one of these type of careers with COB, since Haley did mention that's part of one of the roles and requirements of writing technically, and how it's different than reading a fictional novel. So if you have not taken a course like that, that may be something of interest that you should consider in your coursework.
So we did get another question, any opportunity for business major students? Definitely. Business major is what a lot of our employees have, MBAs, even bachelors in business. So definitely, that's what we're looking for. Again, we are a small state agency. There's about 100 of us here. I think we have a great work-life balance here. We do not require you to work over 40 hours. It's not something, unless you're traveling, and that's usually about the only instance that you're working overtime. Again, the advantage of your duty station being your home, expense reimbursements. We do that on a regular basis, and they're very quick. Again, we are a state government agency, but we operate just a little bit differently sometimes because, of course, we're not funded by state funds. And people come to our agency. I like to brag about this, but people come here and they don't leave. I feel like sometimes I'm having to talk people into retirement. Come on, there's really got to be something else you want to do with your life. You've been here for 35 years, so you really need to go. So it is a great place to work. As I said, work-life balance keeps people around, and I think just bringing on the new recruits, I think you'll hear that from the newly hired college graduates as well. One other question, which position would require the most writing? So pretty much all of our examiner positions require writing. So if you don't like to write, this is probably not the position for you. But it is something that is required of this position. But we'll teach you how to do it.
I will add, the writing length varies wildly. So if there's things that are wrong, obviously you're going to write more. If they're doing things really well, you're going to write less. It's about conveying what's happening more so than the quantity of what you're writing. So we say it's a lot of writing. It's because you're writing different stories all the time, but the stories are varying lengths and complexities.
So another question, so to be hired, you must be a graduate. Not necessarily. We are looking for college degrees, but work experience also counts towards that. So if you have some bank experience and have worked in another financial institution, make sure you're listing that on your application, because we can count that towards your qualification credits. So not necessarily if you're close to graduating and still need a couple credits or a couple more months, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you include some work experience that may be similar. Any other questions? I talk really fast, so if I said something too fast, y'all feel free to ask away.
While the last few questions are coming in, I'm going to put some additional resources into the chat. I do believe, I think, Jenny, you put this together for us.
Muted, Andrea.
Sorry, my apologies. Thank you so much. While the last questions are coming in, I'm going to put a few more resources into the chat. COB put together a very nice fast fact sheet with some additional resources about their agency. So I put that link into the chat. I'm also going to place into the chat their job board of their current open positions. Now, remember, this is currently filtered of what is currently open, not necessarily positions that are entry level. This is what's currently open as of now. So it may not be something that you're interested in, because the first position is an attorney. So like I said, folks, it's what's currently open, right? So it's filtered for COB as of right now. It's not necessarily the entire state. And then the last resource I'm going to place into the chat is our job alerts. So of course, like I mentioned, I place into the chat of what's currently open, but let's state, one of these examiner positions are not currently available. You can create an alert for it where you're able to see once the positions is posted, you'll get an email of that position. So here is the link for that here.
I strongly encourage using the job alerts. Those are great tools, especially for these positions that we post. But yeah, and right now we have an attorney position posted, a paralegal posted, and a receptionist position. So we do have other positions in the agency that aren't all examiners. So we do have some support staff here as well. So those are a couple of positions. But as I said, I'm going to be posting some other entry-level examiner positions over the next couple of weeks and months.
And what a great way to round off our last question. What made you guys ultimately want to choose this career path? So ultimately, why be a public servant? That's to me the ultimate question of why state government. And we can close out on that one.
I can start with that one. I chose this path because I believe in our mission. Our mission is to maintain the strength of North Carolina's financial services marketplace, to make sure that it stays fair, equitable, and it follows the rules. And to me, that's a valuable reason to do this.
I can go next. I chose this job because I have been both on the public and now the private side. And like Katie said, there's just something fulfilling about doing something for the greater good of everybody. Plus, I can't lie, there's job security here. Just saying. It's honestly, I just really enjoy that no two exams are the same, no 2 days are the same. You're helping people, even if they don't realize it. I personally think our job's fun.
And I joined state government about 15 years ago. I previously, in a past life, I was the director of a daycare center, a very large daycare center for about 10 years, and wanted to get away from that world. It's just not where I wanted to retire. So it kind of fell into HR. It was never a field I had really looked into, but just kind of fell into it as a position that opened up in state government that I applied for. Again, like Haley said, it was the benefits and the retirement, because working for the private sector, I didn't have any of that. So just coming here and when I started with state government, I was in the temporary solutions office. So that is our temp service through the state. I worked in their office, and then moved over to the Department of Health and Human Services and was in their HR department for a while over there. But like I said, came here. I love it here. We are a family, and I think it's very evident when our new people come. So I really enjoy being here.
Awesome, ladies. Thank you so much. One thing I just want to say to wrap up, there's been a few folks that's been consistently attending almost all of our meet and greets. I do hope you can kind of catch the general theme that you've been hearing from the first meet and greet to this meet and greet, that no matter the agency or the faces, everyone is here for the same exact reasons. We love to be public servants. We love to support our fellow neighbors, the folks that work in the grocery stores, the people we see pump gas, the folks that we don't even know their names. We love to give and support and to make sure that things within our state is running the way we know it needs to run, and to give back that service. So we do hope that you can see that thread that keeps us together. So that's the whole point of these meet and greets, and hopefully you can find your connection and be inspired to find the right agency for you. Again, like I stated, thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. I will be sending an email with a very short link, or a link to a very short survey to get your feedback on this meet and greet. Like I mentioned earlier, we are trying something new here. We're trying to see if this is a platform, a style that we should continue to do, a way for you to meet our agencies one-on-one, to see if this is a great way that you can learn about our various state agencies. And if it is, let us know, because we would love to get that feedback. Let us, like I said before, thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. You'll receive that email. COB, thank you so much for coming out this afternoon for the wealth of knowledge. Truly appreciate everything you shared this afternoon. Like I stated, I was for sure, intrigued myself with all my facial expressions of like, wow, I did not know. But again, everyone, thank you again. Stay safe, take care, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.